Hey guys, and welcome to this video. So I received a ton of requests from you guys to review these $1 brushes from a website called shopmissa.com. The brushes are called AOA Studio brushes, and they look like high-end brushes, but they're only $1 each. So you can buy each brush individually, or you can buy sets. I believe there's only 3 sets you can buy. There's the 24 brush set, there's the AM set, and then the PM set. The 24 brush set is supposed to be all the brushes you're gonna need, whereas the AM set is all the brushes you'll need in the morning, and the PM set is kind of for more evening makeup, and each of those come with 12 brushes. So I went ahead and went for the AM package because it just looked like the types of brushes that I use most often, and it came with 12 brushes. And then in addition to that, I purchased 2 of their kind of beauty blender knockoffs, which are also only $1 each. And I asked you guys on Snapchat if you wanted to see more of a first impression or a review, and I got very mixed responses, so I'm kind of doing a hybrid of the two. I received these a few days ago, and I went ahead and washed them right when I got them so I could see how they washed, how they took their shape back after being washed. And I've been using only these brushes exclusively for the past 3 or 4 days. So I feel like I'm a lot more familiar with these products than I would be had I just given you guys a first impression. But those of you that wanted a first impression just didn't want to wait for this video. So hopefully this pleases both sides of the fence. But with that, let's go ahead and get into my thoughts on all these $1 brushes. So I'm going to start off by saying I don't recommend purchasing any of the sets. I recommend handpicking the brushes that you want because I think that there are some hits in the sets as well as some misses in the set. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the AM set, the brushes that I think are worth buying and why, and then the brushes that I think you can skip out when buying brushes individually. The first brush that I was not impressed with was this F15 brush. I believe this is their foundation brush. And this isn't necessarily a knock against this brush specifically, but I just don't like using these types of brushes for my foundation. The only way that I use these types of brushes is with face masks, but as you guys can see, I did give it a shot as a foundation brush, and it just left brush marks kind of all over my face. It never really blended the product in, and I just wasn't a huge fan of this. Since I own it, I will probably still use it for face masks, but if you already own the Wet n Wild one that looks like just like this, their flat foundation brush, you're not missing anything with this one. So this one for me was underwhelming, definite pass. The next one that underwhelmed me was this E112 brush. This one's kind of like a pencil brush slash smudge brush, and it's just almost too dense. It's too firm in my opinion. It feels like it's really pulling at the under eye area when you're trying to smudge out your lash line. And the brushes, I know they're all synthetic, but they feel really synthetic on this brush specifically. So if you're looking for a brush similar to this one, definitely go with the e.l.f. smudge brush over this one. It's a couple dollars more expensive. I believe it's $3, but this one, in my opinion, isn't even worth the $1. And the next brush I recommend that you guys pass on is the E117 brush. This is just their little eyeliner brush. The bristles, after I washed this one, kind of frayed a little bit, and with an eyeliner brush, you want the bristles to stay really tight and intact. And this one didn't hold up after only one washing, and I am very gentle with brushes as I wash them. But if you like these types of eyeliner brushes, a good alternative to this one is the Real Techniques one that looks just like this. I've had that one for a really long time, and it's never frayed on me. It's still very intact, and it as well is super affordable. So definitely pass on this one if you're hand picking brushes off of their site. And then the next one I wasn't a fan of is this F16 brush. I just couldn't find a good use for this brush. It's too small to be an eyeshadow brush. I didn't really like it as a concealer brush. I just felt like it's kind of an awkward size. It's kind of that in-between size where I couldn't really find a good use for it. I kept trying to incorporate it into my makeup looks, and I just found that if I'm trying this hard to make a brush useful, it's probably not useful, at least in my opinion. So again, pass on this F16 brush. And then the next brush I didn't love was this E123 brush. It looked at first to me like it would be one of those brushes that's good for kind of packing on eyeshadow to the lid, because all of these eyeshadow brushes feel like concealer brushes. They're not fluffy at all. They're very tightly packed. So the size of this one makes it really hard to pack product onto the lid because really only half of it is even bendable. So it just doesn't have enough room vertically, if that makes sense, to pack on the product onto the lid. And it's too pointy to be able to smoke out the lower lash line. Again, it feels too much like a concealer brush. So again, with this one, the size and the shape of it just make it awkward. There's not a whole lot you can do with it, so I would pass on this brush. And then the final product that I'm going to tell you guys to pass on are these kind of beauty blender knockoffs. These are only $1, and they do a decent job of blending the foundation all over your skin, but they just don't ever get soft. They do expand quite a bit, but they stay feeling really firm and dense, just a bigger version of that. They never get that soft bounciness to them that, in my opinion, makes foundation go on a lot easier and a lot smoother. The other thing I noticed is that these soak up foundation. They just drink it up. I dipped this on the back of my hand where I had a ton of foundation on the back of my hand, and all of a sudden all the foundation was gone and I could only cover like part of my cheek. So even though I feel like the finish wasn't bad, I think it did a pretty good job of blending out the foundation. The amount of product that it soaks up, the amount of foundation that it's soaking up, makes it not really that good of a deal because you're gonna waste so much product using this $1 sponge. So I'd recommend spending just a few dollars more and getting the L'Oreal foundation sponge, because you'll reduce the amount of foundation that you actually have to use, and that sponge feels just like the Beauty Blender and is just a few dollars more expensive than this one. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the brushes that I did like. So the first brush that really impressed me was this F20 brush. This brush is so soft. It's a super soft powder brush, and I just love the size of it. I love this brush for kind of setting powder all over the face. I also found myself reaching for this for my bronzer when I wanted to have more of an all over bronzy look. It's just so soft. It blends the product seamlessly, and it just looks like a way more expensive brush than it is. And even though there's a tiny bit of fraying just right here from that wash and the amount that I've been using it, for $1, I think it looks and performs like a much more expensive brush than that. So I would definitely recommend this F20 brush. The next brush that I liked is this F13 brush. This is basically the same as that last brush, it's just a little bit smaller, and I found this was perfect for contouring because you can get right up underneath those cheekbones, but it's still blending it out for you because it's so fluffy. I also found myself using this a lot for blush. It's the perfect size to get right on the apples of your cheeks and kind of blend upward. And again, so soft. The black and silver make it look a lot more expensive than it is, and it took its shape back perfectly after a wash, which is usually the problem with cheaper brushes. So definitely recommend this one as well. And then the last face brush that I did like out of this collection was the F11. So I've been using this for my highlighter, and it just kind of blends everything for you. It doesn't allow you to put too much highlighter on one spot. It just gives you that all over glow. The only thing I will say about this one is that it didn't take its shape back as well as I wanted it to. I don't know if you guys will be able to notice, but it's kind of sagging on this side a little bit more than this side. The bristles are a little bit more tightly packed over here still, whereas they kind of loosened up over here. But again, for the $1 price tag, if you're looking for a really fluffy, luxurious feeling fan brush, this is a great one. And then the next products are the two that I've been using on my eyebrows the last few days, and I really like this one. This is the E114. This one I have nothing bad to say about. I've been using this to fill in my brows every single day, and it's great. It's firm enough to give you the control that you want, but it's also soft enough to be able to blend the product and not deposit too much product into one area. Washing this made absolutely no impact on the shape, and it's still nice and tightly packed. So if you're looking for a nice brow brush, this is only $1, and I don't have a bad thing to say about it. I think it's great. And I've been using that paired with this spoolie. This is the E119 brush. This is a regular spoolie. There's nothing revolutionary about it, but if you're looking for a spoolie, this is $1. It's great. If you already own a spoolie, you don't need this one in your life. Again, nothing crazy about it. And then the next brush I've been reaching for a good bit is this E111 brush. This has been kind of my go-to concealer brush, and I've been using this to kind of highlight and clean up underneath my brow bone with a little bit of concealer, apply some concealer around my nose area, underneath my eyes, just using this basically as my concealer brush. And I like the shape of it because, again, I've been using it underneath my eyebrows, and that kind of tapered edge makes it the perfect shape to just get right up underneath there and follow the arch. And it's bigger than those other brushes that are just awkwardly shaped and sized, so it doesn't take forever to get the concealer where you want it, but it's still small enough to be able to get to those hard to reach areas. So if you're in the market for a concealer brush, this is a great one. And then the last one I'm going to recommend to you guys is this E122 brush. This is one of those kind of concealer feeling eyeshadow brushes that is actually very useful because the bristles are longer. So I've been using this when I create kind of the halo eyeshadow look, where I want to pack on a shimmery, almost foiled eyeshadow to the center of my lid. This works really well with shimmery eyeshadows, with glitters. I've been using it with my J-Cat Beauty kind of almost foiled eyeshadows in that palette, and it does a great job of picking up a lot of product and really packing it on exactly where you want it. So this was the only kind of eyeshadow brush that I really liked. So those are all of the $1 brushes that I hauled. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and maybe you feel like you have a little bit more guidance on which brushes are worth trying versus which brushes you should maybe pass on. If you did find this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.